New Zealand opened its borders in August 2022 after a 2-year COVID pandemic lockout, and in November 2022 I touched down from my Sky Canoe in Auckland to start my 1-month backpacking tour of Aotearoa, New Zealand. There's loads of ways to get around New Zealand. I chose the Kiwi bus as I was travelling solo but wanted to meet people and do activities in groups. It's a unique hop-on, hop-off bus that does the whole country, but I stayed on and did the tour because it suited me, and I stayed in hostels. Let's start by heading to the beach. Why not? So the tour starts at the Bay of Islands, Paihia, after first stopping off at Whangarei Falls. Visit the Waitangi Treaty Grounds to see a longboat, attend a welcome ceremony, and get an introduction to Maori culture. Next, I'll be travelling down the North Island to Auckland. It's a bustling metropolis, but if you're not feeling the city, you can always spend some time at the waterfront. Now I'm going to head down to the Coromandel Peninsula to visit Hot Water Beach, where you can dig your own spa pool, and visit the famous and gorgeous Cathedral Cove, which appears in the Narnia film Prince Caspian. We'll just have some fush and chups. Now we're going to head down to Waitomo, and on the way we stop at one of the service towns. I love seeing the fabulous cows of mighty Morrinsville. Arriving in Waitomo, you can take in the great views, but I chose to do a really unique experience. I chose to do black water rafting in the glowworm caves, and it was amazing. Now, I'm really biased, but now we're heading to my favourite place in all of New Zealand, Rotorua, which is the geothermal capital. Here I've luged the skyline, I've rode a gondola, eaten a 7-course dinner, or you can go buffet style with a traditional Maori cultural evening. I did the Tamaki Maori village. But the absolute highlight of my trip was Te Puia, with its geothermal landscape of bubbling mud pools, erupting geysers. You can see the traditional haka being performed, visit the Stone and Bone Carving School, the Art Museum and the Conservation Centre, where you can see real Kiwis and learn about the efforts to protect this endangered species. They're so cool. Now on to see what I've decided are my favourite waterfalls in all New Zealand. Let's take a walk to Huka Falls. Then on to Taupo. The more adventurous can do skydiving here, or you can do that at Queenstown. I chose to do one of the best one-day hikes, and that's the 20-kilometre Tongariro Alpine Crossing. Lord of the Rings fans or Hobbit fans will recognise this as Mordor. You can climb the Devil's Staircase, see Mount Doom, Narahoi, see the Emerald Lakes and the Blue Lake, descend the volcanic ash from Red Crater. If you don't fancy any of that, you can just stay in Taupo and relax in the hot springs. Final stop on the North Island is Wellington, and I take the Inter-Islander ferry across to the South Island through the magnificent Marlborough Sounds, and the ferry was fab. Once on the South Island, we head down to Kaitiritiri, where we'll begin our South Island adventure by sea kayaking in Abel Tasman National Park, and we'll see Split Apple Rock. The adventurers can don your swimmies and do a legendary wharf jumping shot at iconic Nelson Lakes. Then we'll hit Surf Town Westport. We'll then get a chance to walk over the beach dunes, spot seals on the Cape Foulwind Seal Colony Walk, and later check out the famous Punakaiki Pancake Rocks before rocking up in Franz Josef. Here in Franz Josef, if the weather's right, you can visit a glacier. There's a little zoo if the weather's off, or you can see Mount Cook and much more. And you can see the great colour of the water which comes from the glacial runoff. Heading now to Queenstown, but we must stop at the picture-perfect mirror reflection in Lake Matheson. We also get a bit of time to stop and enjoy Wanaka before arriving at the adventure capital of Queenstown with the beautiful lake and surrounding shopping, adventure activities or walking. I did the Shotover jet boat and later took a day trip to UNESCO's World Heritage Sites for a boat cruise in Milford Sound, where you can also choose to get wet under a natural waterfall. Time to go, and we stopped to check out the views of the snow-capped mountains at Lake Pukaki and bask in the crystal blue waters of the South Island. If you're lucky and it's a clear night, check out the stars at the largest dark sky reserve at Lake Tekapo, or just enjoy the lake and its walkways. Final stop on this tour is Christchurch. This was quite poignant for me. This city's been rebuilding itself since the 2011 earthquake, which destroyed about 80% of the buildings. I jumped on the hop-on, hop-off bus to get a fab overview of the city, wandering round and exploring the fabulous street art and the delis. I saw the cardboard cathedral, some gorgeous Edwardian architecture at the college and observatory, took in the exhibitions at the art gallery, just relax in the botanical gardens and stroll along the River Avon. And then to see out the tour, I did a gin and whiskey distillery tour. Brilliant. So my top tip. Okay, so New Zealand has 10 times more rainfall than the UK. I live in the UK. I would have never thought that was possible. But it kind of makes sense. New Zealand always looks lush and green, right? So I would say that a raincoat is a must-pack item for New Zealand. Some activities can be impacted by the weather, so if something's really important to you, you really need to bear this in mind and have a backup plan. With New Zealand, the motto is embrace the unexpected, and above all, have an amazing time. I did.